Hi everyone, my name is Nicolette and I wanted to share my dating experience with you all as a Christian, single, God-fearing young woman. My story is very different from so many people, and I definitely don't profess to be perfect, but I do try my best to follow the Bible, the guidelines, and the things that I'm supposed to do as a Christian. And that's why my experience is somewhat very different from a lot of females. So, this is the beginning of the conversation that I will be having with you about Christian dating, about Christian lifestyle, about eventually finding the one. And I hope it's interesting to you or many others. Again, I know my experience is different, but please don't come for me and don't be a hater, okay? Anyway, so I just want to start by saying that this Christian walk for me has been a little easier than most, to be honest. So I come from a place where rules and regulations were upheld, and I am the kind of person who really was afraid of disciplinary actions such as beatings and scoldings and all the like, right? And so I really listened. And I also am a kind of person who truly, truly loves God and have learned to appreciate him for who he is and what he's capable of. And so I did not want to dishonor him in any way. So I say all of that to explain some of the things that you'll be hearing me say. And not to think that I'm perfect anyway, but knowing that I did have rules and regulations that I followed, and a parent, my aunt, who guided me a lot of the way that prevented me from doing a lot of things many girls do. But I did want to bring this perspective too, because I find, there's so many girls, Christian girls, wonderful girls out here who bring the notion of Christianity from a place of like redemption, of how God called them out of certain wrongs and he's brought them to the light. Whereas myself, there's a lot of things that I didn't get the opportunity to do and did not have the desire to do, or if I did, I was able to have discipline enough not to do them. So I wanted to talk about that from that perspective, because again, I know there's a lot of different kinds of people out here, and not many come from my perspective because of the fear that, people are going to be like, oh, you're such a goody two-shoe, or you're holier than thou, or you're, Miss Pure, this and that. And honestly, I'm the kind of girl, I really don't care for that kind of negative energy, and it never bothered me when I was growing up, and it won't bother me now, but I wanted to bring my perspective. Okay, so growing up, I was brought up with an aunt. She was extremely strict. She's Seventh-day Adventist. I'm Seventh-day Adventist. And if you don't know about the Seventh-day Adventist faith religion, there's a lot of do's and don'ts, mostly a lot of don'ts. And to be honest, I never had any problem with abiding by the do's and don'ts, because I'm a person who loves regulations, love rules. I like to know what to do, what not to do. Obviously, as any human being, we do push our boundaries and limits, and we do try to see what we can and cannot do, or when someone tells us not to do something, we do attempt. I have it as well, but I do have limits because I don't like beatings, scoldings, and all of that. So again, I was raised with an aunt who was extremely strict, Seventh-day Adventist, and she brought me up from the age of 8. So from the age of 8, I was with this aunt. I left her when I was like 13, went back again when I was in college, 16, 17. So with that said, I want you to understand that this aunt did not play any games, okay? This is an aunt. It was her way or no way, not the highway, her way or no way. So my upbringing really stopped, prevented me from doing a lot of the things that are out there. And again, because of my personality, because I do tend to aim to please, and I loved this aunt who rescued me from a bad situation, stepmother issues type thing. At the time, I really thought it was. Now that I'm looking back and understanding life in general, it really wasn't that bad. But so yeah, this strict aunt that I loved, that I wanted to honor. I felt grateful towards her. A lot of the things that she was teaching me from the Bible, as a young lady, society wise, whatever do's and don'ts, I really sought to listen to her. To be honest, my Christian walk did not begin with me wanting to please God per se, because I didn't have a relationship with him at what, 8, 10, even like 14, 15, to be honest. But my connection with doing what was right, proper, appropriate, as a Christian really stemmed from me loving this aunt and wanting to show her all the obedience I could, and that indicated to her how much I loved her, right? And so all the rules and regulations that came from my faith as a Seventh-day Adventist, I would abide and listen to because my aunt would tell me, not necessarily because God said it. Obviously, after I started building a relationship with God for myself, I started understanding the reasoning behind the rules. To be honest, my aunt did explain a lot to me. She was not the type of parent or guardian who would tell you, do this because I said so. She usually just sat me down and explained everything to me. So I knew exactly what I was doing, why I was doing it, why I wasn't doing the certain things that she told me were not good to do, because she literally explained everything to me. And that goes into guys as well, because this talk is not necessarily on my upbringing as a Christian per se, but it's about my connection with men, how I perceive them, how I understand them, and how I then kind of decided to live my life in relations to them, whether or not I was going to have a boyfriend, what time, what age, what I was going to do when I had a boyfriend, all of that. So with all that said, I want to share that I am 38 years old. And I am a virgin. I'm not saying it because of anything, but I want to show you the context that I'm coming from and the context that I'm in currently, to kind of express and explain my journey in this Christian world that I have immersed myself in, or have been immersed in, and where I am now, and what brought me to this position in my beliefs, in dating and my relationship with men. Okay, I hear so many conversations and so many women and men talk about, virginity and, body counts and all these things. And honestly, I don't know much of what they're saying, not because I wasn't exposed to television, friends, and I'm actually a nurse, so I totally understand and know what comes in with all this idea of having sex and all of that. But it was a choice that I made, and I made it early on in life because of the person who raised me, the faith that I was in, and the history that I come from. And to talk a little bit about the history that I come from is, I am a child born out of wedlock. And my aunt, when she would have conversations with me about sex, guys, and relationships, she would always try to instill in me the notion of breaking the cycle, right? Knowing that my mom had me out of wedlock, and, whatever sufferings and problems that ensued because of that decision, she made, and how I did not want to propagate that and fall into that cycle again. And I made the decision to remain a virgin until until my wedding night. I would say the first time that my aunt expressed to me the notion of, being able to keep my virginity, understanding what sex was. And I think when I hit puberty, we had the talk, and I was like, I'm going to be celibate and I'm going to be a virgin until I, found the one, married him on the wedding night. And I remember every year of my birthday, I would thank and praise God for having kept me a virgin. And by the grace of God, 38 years later, I have maintained that decision. Now that I'm speaking to you, I have currently got into a relationship my very first one. And again, I said all that I said because I need you to understand the context I'm coming from. This is my first boyfriend, not my first crush, not the first person I liked, but the first person that I actually am pursuing or have allowed to pursue me in the context of this is, there's a little fly. You saw it, I'm sure. This is a person that is, pursuing me for the sake of marriage, right? So it has been 3 months, and this is the first time I'm actually sharing this. I don't know if he's ever going to see this or any video that I make consecutive to this. There's going to be a lot because I want to talk about this journey, the feeling, the conversations, the thoughts, everything, okay? This is like my documentation for myself and for the world, and to just share with young ladies, younger and the same age as I am, and older, I don't know, because honestly, before these past 3 months, I honestly did not think that I would be able to find anyone that fits my idea of the ideal man. And by the grace of God, thus far, these 3 months I've been with this guy, he fits, y'all, he fits. Anyway, I'm gonna end it here. And just tell you, like, there's so much more to come, and I'll break down every aspect of the things that I've spoken about in this video and a lot more that I have not yet mentioned. So this is the beginning of a very juicy, interesting, great, exciting journey that God is allowing me to take part in, and I want to share it with the world because I think a lot of young women need to hear it. Again, perhaps prematurely, perhaps I'm premature, but I feel like even to get to the point that I am now with the decisions that I've made and the decision that I'm making and decisions I will make, there's a lot that goes into it that I would like to share and express so that maybe others can, we can have a conversation about, the thoughts and ideas that you struggle with, have already taken, done, or plan to do, right? I think this is a wonderful conversation. Again, this is not for everyone, I know, and it might be for everyone, but I know the content of the information I will share might not settle well with everyone because it's coming from a context of a story that seems a lot different than what this world is projecting, right? Again, I am a Christian, I am single, I'm a virgin, I'm highly educated. I've, followed God as best as I can throughout my life and have, sacrificed a lot of pleasures in the world in order to be in line with God. I am not perfect. Obviously, you will see from the mistakes that I share, the conversations that we will have about, certain things in my life that did not go too great. But I am always striving. My passion, my goal is to be the best Christian I can be and to inspire others to do the same, to show people that it is possible to strive for perfection. It is possible to maintain God's rules and regulations, to listen to the word of God and still be successful, still find love, still be educated, still be in a position where you are admired by others, and not fall into the trap that this world is setting where you have to give up your cookies, party and go clubbing and do all this other things. It's just not necessary in order to be happy. And it's not what God asks for. So stay tuned. I will see you guys in the next video.